Let's get right in. So today we're just gonna have a tip on how to put in the lines to properly shape the face in a more anime style of drawing. Um, you might see the lips here or the nose and think, oh, it's not that anime, but in reality, I would have done this face shape regardless of how I did the lips and nose. Those just fit better for this drawing. So you want to focus on a few areas and their relationship to each other. So area 1 will be this area, effectively hinting at the eye socket as it comes in from the cheekbone, and then the cheekbone, and then this could be one or two areas, but the apex of the chin as well as this subtle curve right before that. Obviously, you need to focus on the whole line, but these are kind of the three trouble areas because they're so subtle that it's hard to get them just right. So I'm just going to show you this one. So, I got my sketch in, obviously, and we'll go over kind of what I did to shape this while I'm doing the lines. So you can see how I do the lines, because from sketch to lines is actually quite a bit different. You can't just do marks here and be like, oh, it's perfect. Once you take that away, it does look different. So you have to kind of know how to translate your sketch. So, and one thing to keep in mind is that with the chin, you oftentimes people want to put the chin down here to go more in line with the center if you were to draw your center line. But the chin is a mass. The chin is not just a point. It's not flat. It has width. So the farthest edge of that width is kind of what we're drawing. And again, that's that's part of the subtleties that are difficult to place in anime drawings, especially because you want it to look a certain way, but it's not 100% based in reality, so it's hard to figure out what's going on. So I will tend to start with this cheek curve. Now on this one, I'm going to start by trying to get closer to the inside edge of the sketch. I might not stick with that, but to start with, that's more or less what your eyes are reading as the shape of the face, is the inside edge. So, first thing here, at the apex of the cheek, this isn't just necessarily the cheekbone, kind of, the fat that surrounds that area. The cheekbone itself is higher on the face. Now, of course, it's stylized drawing, so it's not 100% accurate. So in this one, for this shape, I have placed the apex of the cheek here, which is actually, if you drew a line about the bottom of the nose that I have here. But again, I didn't place the apex of the cheek based on the nose position. I positioned the nose based on the cheek and the mouth and the eyes. So for the sketch, I kind of just put it all in. After I get the structure of the face in here, I put in my features and kind of play with where I feel like they fit within the shape I made. Because to me, I want to get this shape how I want it. And I see like, okay, I like the way the shape of this face looks. I like the way that silhouettes. And then I build off of that. So now I have the eyes. The bottom of the eyes will be more or less at the inside of this curve. And I'm going to place thicker lines here. So in general with these drawings I do, and it kind of depends on where I want to accentuate, but this is line weight, so the inside of this curve I do thicker. When it curves in, I guess the reasoning would be that it's kind of in shadow. It casts a shadow on itself by being curved in. And then the apex would be getting the most light. Now, depending on your light source, that would actually change dramatically, but on the anime universe. For her forehead, I kind of leave it fairly consistent. I don't feel like making this super thin like the cheek. And that's just because I usually I'll probably have the hair here interacting with this part of the forehead, whether it comes over like this or whether it comes right off. The idea is that the hair is there, it's not separate from that part of the forehead. And I'll play with that, but I'll leave that pretty standard. So then I start with the cheek because that's easiest to go from cheek to eye socket to forehead. The curve of the wrist makes those lines easier to draw. And then the hardest part to really get perfect is this. So this subtle curve is very sneaky. It took me a long time to even notice it when I was starting out trying to draw, anime drawings. See, a lot of beginner anime drawings have it just kind of like the cheek comes out and they're like, yeah, I see that cheek, and then it comes down to the chin and it's just straight and sharp. Now you can still do the sharp if you can still do straight and sharp if that's the style you're going for, and it works. I've seen plenty of professionals use that in Japan. But I personally just love the slight curve, and this curve is based on a simplification of what the face actually looks like. So now you can see this curve is almost non-existent. So these lines are almost straight. But then what I do to really implicate the curve is by thickening this part on the inside. That starts to give the idea of curving inside. Just like this, you see the inside of the curve as this side rather than this side. So the inside of your thickness, because this is technically a curve, so the apex of this curve is where you place the innermost of that curve. So then for this to keep in, congruency with the curve of my wrist, I'm going to flip the image and turn it so that I'm not fighting against how my wrist wants to move. To get these curves in. jaw in. So I tend to make this fade to a thinner line as it goes back. This whole bit, when drawn in this style, this line represents the shadow under the chin. That's the whole point of this line. The chin, the jawline, you know, the jaw line is really just the outermost of that curve, you know, in shadow form. That's why we see it. So you know, and so here's the mouth, the actual curve of the jaw that you would see here. You know, where it's like the corner that then goes out to meet the ear. That's generally in line with the mouth, like I line up with the edge of the mouth. You know, give or take a tiny bit, whatever feels right. Obviously I have her arm here, so I don't need to worry about that. This might change if I didn't have her arm here. I might be like, oh, you know what, it looks better with this line a little bit steeper, or something like that. But I like the way it looks with her arm there, and so that's what I'm going with. You know, you kind of get to take those liberties. So with this drawing, her head is kind of back, you know, she's not pushing it forward, she's not necessarily sucking her chin back, but it's kind of leaning back and to the side a little bit, which reduces the distance from neck to chin. This distance here is going to be reduced, but you will still have some distance, and especially with you know, a stylized drawing, anime style, they often have the neck have distance from the chin, like as much as possible. You know, they'll push it to the absolute boundary of what's doable to keep that, because, you know, it's an attractive thing to see the chin like that, to see the chin out from the neck. Who knows why? So this is, you know, the relation from chin to neck you can see here, and that's sort of related to the shape of the face. It helps see and read the shape of the face and its positioning. So now the last thing we'll do is we'll kind of we're gonna hide the line layer and really feel how we feel about that shape of the face, because I like it a lot in the sketch form. The sketch form is often very pleasing because it's a little messier and your brain puts things where it wants within the sketch, because it's not so clean. The lines pretty much say this is where it is. You don't have a choice. The sketch lets you kind of read it however you want. So when I hide it like this, obviously there's not much going on here, but just looking at it, I'm a little worried about I guess it'd be the eyebrow ridge, the edge of the eyebrow ridge. You know, I did not come in on the inside of the facial boundaries for that sketch, and I feel it. It feels like it's too far out compared to how I want it, so I'm gonna I leave this line here first instead of erasing that and then redrawing it. I leave this line here so that I can compare it and see that I actually made a difference. And then we're gonna come in and just erase. Because I moved the line in, we're gonna erase some of this thickness in the eye socket, the bottom of the eye socket there. And then we'll just come up and erase this. We'll have our new shape. And the whole point of this is kind of like shaping the face by translation from the sketch, because as you can see, both lines are within the boundaries of the sketch. But one, you know, it just didn't feel right. So I like this better. It looks a little more subtle. I might still come in, because this part I did not do on the inside boundary either, but I didn't want to push it in too much. I might come in here and just move this in a little bit and just give her a little bit more emphasis on this chin coming out with this curve. You know, and this is a tiny change. I'm very zoomed in. It's just barely next to the original line I drew, but things that subtle can affect it. And you know, the point of this really is that when you get to these drawings and you've done a lot, and then you're like, okay, you know, I'm getting pretty good, I know what I'm doing, but it's just not looking right. It comes down to these tiny subtleties. You know, and when I was learning and I was looking up YouTube videos, it was like super specific videos like this that really helped me just break that next, you know, wall that I was facing when I just felt like I wasn't improving anymore. It's because there was just subtle things that I just wasn't quite aware of. And there's a lot of tutorials out there on how to do, you know, overall kind of stuff, like how to draw the whole head kind of quickly, basic stuff. So this is more specified for those of you who want to fine-tune, you know, your line work as you're shaping the face. And even this could help with how you're sketching it, to know how you end up doing this. So for now, I'm pretty into this. I think it looks good, it feels right. When I do this, I don't feel like my lines are detracting from the facial shape. The only thing I am going to try real quick is I'm going to lasso this. And now this is just because the sketch is kind of where I sized the head. So I made the head the size I made it in the sketch form. And in that regard, the outside edge of the sketch is where my brain is putting the end of the head. So then if I do my lines on the inside, I like that shape, I think it looks good. However, it might end up where my head's just a little bit too small. It's a little bit smaller than I intended because I went on the inside. So now that I like my head shape, I'm gonna see if just moving it, the whole thing, moving it left a bit to be, you know, it's about halfway in there. And then coming down here, we're just going to reconnect this. Still looks good that way. This feels even better when I do this. It's not messing with anything. And then if I flip it, it still feels good that way. And that's it. You now have I guess a 3/4 view face outline. Contour. That's the word. Maybe that'll be in the title of the video. I didn't think of it. But yeah. thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this. I'm currently able to make videos kind of as I see fit, so let me know in the comments if this was useful at all. Roast the shit out of me. Like, this is stupid. I don't need this. Let me know what you do need, and I'll make it. We'll try to make some good, useful videos that, tailor to specific needs instead of just being another similar video that you've seen 100 of and you can't find that thing that you need. Let me know what that is, and hopefully I'll be able to make it. But yeah, thanks for watching.